Do you have big pauses when you try to go from one chord to the next? Do you panic and go blank when you know the C to G chord change is coming up? No matter how many times you repeat it, it still feels messy and clunky. The aim is for our chords to bounce seamlessly and smoothly from one to the next. The only time you want to hear a break is when there's supposed to be one. Today is aimed at players who already know some open chords and have started putting sequences together within songs. We are looking at 5 reasons that may be slowing your chord changes down and how to solve them in order of importance. Step number 1, you may not be able to get your fingers into the chord shape quick enough, or you may not be able to recall the chord shape quick enough. This is about programming our fingers so that they do what we want them to do. If you see or think D chord, you need to immediately be able to form the D chord shape with your fingers. Keep telling them, they're quite stubborn. I'm assuming you have a chord sequence that you practice in. So take the individual chords from that sequence and practice forming your fingers into those shapes. We can train our response time this way. This is what you need to refine. Say my chord sequence, for example, is D, A minor, G. I will practice the D by forming the D shape and landing it onto the guitar on the correct strings, on to the correct fret. With the strumming hand, practice going from the right string, in this case it's a D string. The same thing with the A minor, separately practice forming the A minor shape, landing on the correct strings, on the correct frets, recall it A minor, playing on the strumming hand from the A string, the correct string. And the same practice with the G. Practice putting the fingers down, correct frets, correct strings. Pressing them down, do they sound clear? If this aspect of your chord practice still needs work, you will struggle putting a sequence together. Spend a bit more time working on this step. One tip that may be useful for some people, I've always visualized the chords as little shapes. D's a little triangle, the C's a diagonal with one missing, the F's a smaller diagonal, the A is 3 fingers in a row. It's about finding our own shortcuts to commit these shapes, letter names to memory. Once you've practiced these shapes physically enough, your fingers will start to remember the feel of the shape and it'll become their language, and the processing speed between the visual or the memory of C chord will become a much quicker relay to your hand. If you've got this sorted, we can move on to problem 2. Your 1, 2, 3 fingers are taking up valuable time. 1, 2, 3 is an excellent way in the beginning to find your bearings, anchor your fingers to positions on the fretboard. After a certain point, this is going to hold you back. We need to get all the fingers in each chord to land at the same time for the most part. Little exercises, pick individual chords in your sequence, for example C chord, and aim towards landing all the fingers at the same time. Moving on to step 3, you don't know what chord is coming next quickly enough in your sequence. You do need to know in your mind what's coming next, like that. When we're playing music, we need to be one step ahead. It moves, there's nothing that's going to slow down or stop for us. So we need to be able to know where we're going constantly. If my chord changes from D minor to A minor, when I'm playing D minor, I already need to be thinking A minor's next. Be ready, this is a huge part of moving fluidly through a chord sequence. Exercises to practice this, start by learning your chord sequence, know your chord sequence mentally, memory, or be able to skim read it. An easy option would be to learn a song with only 3 chords in it all the way through. Great example of this is Wicked Game, B minor or B minor here to A to E. So then you know B minor, A, E. Repetition is key. If your chord sequence is more complex, break it down into smaller chunks, maybe blocks of 4 chords, for example. A lot of the time, songs repeat. So you may have 4 chords in a sequence, and that sequence may repeat 4 times before there's any other chord changes. Now you know what chord's next. This following problem may be what you encounter. Number 4, you can't move between the chords smoothly. Here's where we need to break it down. If your chord sequence is A minor, G, D, F, for example, practice shape shifting in the air en route to each chord. Slowly. Remember to land the fingers in one go. You'll often find that some changes get quicker than others. So if you have a sticky point, maybe A minor to G, for example, because it's such a big jump and a change in hand position. Practice by focusing just on these two chords, backwards and forwards, A minor to G, A minor to G, etc. until you have a bit more fluency. Then put the 4 chord sequence back together. This is a must for smooth chord changes. You need to be able to do this between all of the chords in the sequence for a song that you're playing. This will put you in a great position for speeding your chord changes up. The final wall you may hit could be that you can play the chord changes smoothly when you're playing slow, but once you speed them up, everything falls apart. It's time to speed up. The way to do this is play along to something other than yourself. It's easy to get stuck in our own sense of timing and comfortable speed. If this speed isn't quick enough, we need to find ways to break out of that comfort zone. This can feel messy and uncomfortable to begin with, but it's the only way to get quicker. Do it in increments, just small steps. Use a metronome, find the beats per minute, which is the speed of what you're comfortable playing at. Practice playing along to the metronome at this speed. We then, in small amounts, increase the BPM of the metronome and try to match it with our strumming speed. Do this more and more until we get closer to the ballpark we're aiming for. Another option is to play along to the actual recording of a song or a riff. This is useful providing you are almost there, otherwise it can be quite defeating, and if you can hear the guitar part clearly in the recording, otherwise it can be a bit off-putting for people. When you get this right, the act of playing along to something else takes the focus off yourself, and we have to pattern match between what we do and the recording, so we're constantly listening and feeding back. If you're struggling with this part, it may be that you need to go back a step or two and master the previous stages. The reality here is things generally take longer than we want them to. We see gains in places we weren't expecting, other things take longer than we want. Be patient and carry on. Sometimes you will benefit from sleeping on it or having a day or two's break from it and coming back. Often that process time is incredibly useful. In this lesson, I show you 8 tips to make your guitar practice sessions more effective.